How you doing, everybody? Welcome to episode 10 of Staying Insane. Tonight we talk about a lot of different cultural things that we enjoy, that we have some questions on, and that sort of thing. So I hope you guys like it. Check it out. It should be a lot of fun. Thanks.
Gentlemen, welcome back. How are you guys doing tonight?
Good. How are you doing, man?
I'm living. It's a Tuesday. What about you, Adam?
I'm good. I've got food.
Good. I just ate,
How are
so
you?
I'm feeling pretty good. What?
I just came from work.
Ooh, fun.
Hell yeah!
Any assholes tonight?
Hell yeah!
Figured. So, boys, tonight you may have to do a little research. Real quick for the topics, if you need to. Obviously, we live in America, us three, in Pennsylvania specifically, but in America, all our culture is a mix of many different ones. I mean, we were called the melting pot for a reason. Today, I want to know, what is your guys' favorite culture and why? And I want to know any specifics. So if you need to do any research, let me know. I already did my research because I'm the one who thought of it. So if you need me to go first, I can go first.
Yeah, go ahead first. Let me think about that here.
Okay. I really enjoy the Japanese culture. One for the home lifestyle they have. I've always been a big fan of taking shoes off when I get into a home. I don't know why. But also their architecture and their woodworking is just amazing. They have a woodworking style called kumiko, which I may have pronounced that wrong, but it's the paper woodworking you see where they do intricate details, and I just think that style is fascinating just because I am kind of a woodworking nerd. It's a lot of chisels, a lot of precision work, and a lot of different jigs. But I've always loved that style. It's one of the things I want to kind of get into more when I get my shop set up. Just the way they do things so much differently than what I was taught even as a youngling in the garage with my dad. Even when I was in building construction, I was taught completely different. I mean, the way they build houses and build structures is just 100% different. I mean, they use almost zero hardware. It's all friction fit with certain lap joints and stuff like that, with wooden pegs. So I've always enjoyed that style. I always think it looks awesome, and it's so different from what we see over here in America. And the thing is that it hasn't changed much in the past 100, 200 years. I mean, they're building more modern stuff with like modern materials and shit like that, but other than that, they're building the old style with the blind lap joints and all that shit. So that's why I think I like the Japanese culture the best. Not only that, their food's good, and it's just all over a lot different than my walk of life, and I think that's what I like about it the most. So, and what about you? Is anybody else?
Yeah,
Yes.
I've got one. I've always kind of been fascinated. This is more like a heritage thing.
Okay.
I'm like Scottish and English in my heritage on my mother's side.
Okay.
So I've always been fascinated with like the history behind a lot of English and Scottish and like the UK's history, basically, whether it be Ireland, Scotland. I don't think Scotland's part of the UK, but that
Technically,
area.
no, but yeah,
no,
I
but that
understand what you're saying.
area. The British Isles, I guess you could say, in
Okay.
general. So like I've always been fascinated with the culture behind all of that, especially like medieval stuff. And my mom, she taught like a lot of the old English stories. Like she taught Beowulf in school when she was a high school teacher.
One of my favorite books, by the way. Continue.
Right. We're missing, I don't know, something close to 80% of that story or something of the whole epic.
Yes.
I don't remember exactly the amount. That's just a blind guess. Because
Lost in translations.
Lost in translation and just lost in general. Like parts of the
Hey,
the story when it was written
Really?
The material disappeared. It's like a lot of
Yeah.
like Shakespearean stuff is missing. We're missing a lot of his works.
I didn't know that. That's pretty cool. Interesting.
Yeah, and we're missing, I don't know, about half of England's total history written down. Like a lot of it was burned in different catastrophes or during wars and stuff. You lose a lot of history when someone takes over another country or another part
The
of
first
the
thing
country.
to do is to get rid of the old ways.
Yep. It's like how when Christianity moved in and they eliminated paganism and that sort of stuff in the, I don't know, 600s BC or AD, yeah, 680 AD, like the current era we live in now. Sorry, my phone buzzed.
Sorry.
But I've always been fascinated with like that, and like I've never been to Europe, and that's like
Okay.
one of the things I want to do in my life is go to Europe, go to Ireland, go to Scotland, go to England, and see all these massive castles. Not only there, but also like Germany and the Czech Republic and all these other places that have these grandiose buildings and stuff. And like I want to learn about the history. Even though I have a science degree, I always loved history, and I took quite a few history courses when I was in college that I didn't need to. I just wanted to as like electives, basically. So that's a culture I've always, and even today, that has a lot to do with like their traditions still kind of persist in the same way that Eddie talked about with the Japanese. Their traditions still come through. Like Scottish men still usually wear a kilt when they get married.
Yes.
That's just the sort of thing that, I don't know, that sense of like tradition is really cool to me, I think.
Oh yeah, it's cool in any culture, to be honest.
And a funny thing is, how families have crests, like a family crest.
Yes.
My mother actually has her grandparents' family crest. They still have one. It's the Lynn, Lynn. Whether that's Scottish or Irish or English, I don't know which.
I think that's Irish, but I'm not 100% on that one.
I don't know. It's her dad's dad. So my great grandfather.
Okay.
His last name was Williams, and I think a couple generations before it was like Williams or McWilliams or something like that. So,
Okay.
Pretty British Islesy.
Oh yeah.
So they actually have the family crest. Or was his last name? No. Yeah,
Did you
his
say it
last name-
originated from the Linne?
Lynn.
So the
No.
Lynn is a surname of English, Scottish, Irish, or German origin. But,
That's
so,
literally
yeah, it's
me as a
literally-
whole.
Right, yeah. So the
I don't
name
think-
derived from the Scottish Gaelic Linne.
Probably
Okay.
Linne
Yeah.
or something, or Line.
Sorry, just want to give a little fact
But
check.
Lynn is actually, it's her. Oh, it's my mom's dad. That's who it is.
Okay.
My great grandfather, but Lynn and Williams. So very of that area, and then my dad's German and I'm German and English and all that other nonsense too. So I just think that heritage kind of thing is really cool with me.
Oh yeah, I understand that. Fun fact about my mom's family is we are descendants of the Queen Mary of Scots.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, that's obviously way down there, but we do come from that part of family.
Like a super
I always
low
knew you were
percentage?
royalty.
Is it
A
like
small-
like 0.001% or something kind of crazy?
For me, I think it's like a 0.008 or something like that.
Just pure royalty. You're like 50%.
Yep, you caught me. So,
Knew it.
what about you, Adam?
All right,
You,
so get ready to just absolutely annihilate me in the comments because as far as See, I'm still a very young, uneducated 20-year-old. No, but as far as like, okay, I know things can be called culture, but I don't know if they're actually considered culture or not. But I'm just basically going to take this question and just tell you about what I paid attention and was most interested about in history classes. And then you guys just maybe help me with the rest. Okay. So, like, Greece. All the Greek stuff, like, anything that happened back then, like, with the different warriors, like Trojan, not only do they make a banging condom, you know, pun intended, but... Oh, it's not funny if I laugh at it. God. But no, for real. All that stuff is actually insane to me. Like, that kind of stuff where the Egyptians even, like, I don't have one specific thing, but anybody who is doing stuff that, like, we don't even do today. Like, that's not true everywhere.
No, there's a difference, though. I know what you mean.
Just kind of gave up on architecture. If you look back on what the crap these people were doing, now, were they doing it in a great way with, like, millions of slaves? No. But is it still insane what the human body was doing and what they were building without, like, machinery? Yeah. Like, it is mind-blowing to think about stuff that is still standing today was built by just humans. And like, it's like, oh man, when we talked about that, that was like the most into school I've ever been. I remember coming home and being like, I like school. What?
So that's
anything from that.
That's not a culture.
Right, I know, but
that's
it's
not
that
like
kinda...
a current culture, but that is
right,
still
yeah,
cultural.
So...
Like, that's ancient culture, basically, is what you're saying. You like all those, like, crazy, outlandish things that people did very, very long ago.
Right.
Aliens built the pyramids.
I hate you. So what are...
Quit it.
So what are examples of, like... So, like, I know examples of culture would be, like, Scottish, Irish,
right,
Spanish, German.
So those would be cultures we have today, and what you're saying is, like, cultures from the past. And a lot of those things still do persist, like, to today.
Yeah, a lot of our current cultures are just melds of previous cultures that are no longer alive.
Right. And, like, like the American government system originally was based on what the Greeks did.
Yes.
Their government system was, you know, a democratic republic. You know, that's what the American founding fathers based all their stuff on.
Right. So like, okay,
it does persist through to today. I agree with you.
Yeah, I know you would agree too, being such a, like, historian. Like, you're probably into all of it, but just to break it down for anybody in the comments or anybody listening who's like, okay, what, this guy is actually not even human. Like, I was adopted. I don't really know the people who, like, were my main parents. I know of them, I know who they are, but I've never met them, never anything like that. So I really don't know where I come from, like, in the line of anything. So I feel like that's a big driving thing for, like, kids as they're growing up. Like, they'll hear, like, you're part this, part that. And so then you're, like, researching.
I want to learn more about my culture,
you hear something and you, like, remember it more because you're like, oh, that's my line. I don't know that. And a lot of you are like, well, why don't you find out that's dumb? For, like, years, I'm just getting to the point in life where I'm accepting and liking myself as the fat boy I am. Like, forever, I was like, I don't give a crap about who I am. I'm adopted. So, like, I know crap tons about adoption. So if that was the culture, that would obviously be it. But it's not. So, like, that was just my thing. When everybody else could be like, oh, well, I come from the Cherokee Indians, I'd be like, I come from adoption. Oh, that sounds, oh god, that sounded so racist. No, but, God, why'd I do it in an accent, like as if adopted people were, like, had their own, I don't know. Comedy's weird. So, like, yeah, so again, like, you guys, you know, you're, like, German and all that, and I don't really know. I could take, like, one of those, what is it, like a saliva test or something that the
23andMe or whatever it is.
Yeah, that. I should probably take that at some point and let you guys know my feedback, but you know, so like I don't really know. I was just interested in different stuff, and then again, like when you learn a lot about culture is in like school, and I really just gave up on school in like first grade. I was like, I'm pursuing an art career, and you guys can all do your own thing, but I'm over here. So, you know, I mean, I took Spanish, but I'm not gonna lie, I was into the teacher because she was really cool. Not like that, but she was just really cool teacher. I wasn't into like, I didn't pay attention. I know sacapuntas means pencil sharpener, and it was just because I had a childlike mind, and it sounded sexual to me for some reason. I was like, oh, it's sac. But that's it. Like, that's all I remember. Like, you know, and then the basic rojo red, you know, all that stuff. But, you know, so I don't know much about culture. Like, I know Jeremy, and I know your brother's like super into German everything, right?
Yeah.
You've talked about that on the past podcast.
Yeah.
So, like, you guys are like, you guys are deep into culture. I'm just like, you know, other than America, it's like, I don't know.
But that is part of it all. Is like, at this point, like, we're Americans. We've grown up in America. We have this mishmash, like melting pot. Yeah, like melting pot style of culture where we experience in America, I'd say, as much as any other place in the entire world, we experience so much of a lot of different cultures all the time.
Yeah.
Maybe not,
especially now.
Right.
Back in the olden days, that wouldn't be as much in other countries and stuff like that.
You know, in the 21st century, in 2020, we experience so much more cultural, just I don't even know the word. Just this vast difference of cultures that we can flip-flop between any day of the week. Like people in larger cities, like say like Pittsburgh or Philadelphia or Columbus, Ohio, or wherever, you can experience all these different, like one day you can go have Turkish food, next day you might go have I don't know, Puerto Rican food, the next day you might have Russian or or
Liberian or some form of that different ethnic
right grouping. And you can go to all these different restaurants, and obviously not right now in current
situation,
right, but you know, 8 months ago you could you know, you could go out and go have I'm gonna go get tacos today, and then tomorrow it's like, I'm gonna go get sushi. Like, so, and I don't think that happens quite near as much in most other places. I'm sure it does to a pretty great extent, but the hodgepodge style of culture that we live in is important to us too, I think. That it is. That forms, you know, who we are, because, you know, America started out as a hodgepodge of all the people who didn't want to live in England anymore coming together and be like, look, we're just gonna make a life and do
our own thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so I agree totally with what you're saying, and I know, you know, if this were to get more views or something eventually someday, like, I know people who may not know me, because I know a lot of people who listen to this will just be like, oh, classic Adam, he's a funny little biscuit, but a lot of people who, like, wouldn't know me or anything, like, I could seem very, I can't think of the right word, like, disrespectful or, like...
Ignorant,
yeah, like, just like, oh, he knows all about America. And, like, I get that, and you probably are totally right. It probably is really ignorant of me to, like, not really even know about the other cultures, but, like, this is something I've tried to talk about before with my mom. Like, you guys don't have to put any 10 cents in this. It's along this line, but, like, it could be controversial just to even say, but I'm not afraid to talk about it because it's just true to what I am. A lot, you know how, like, okay, I don't at all consider myself racist towards, like, anybody, but there is definitely a social thing where if there is a person of color in the room or a person of a different, you know, different ethnicity. Culture than my ethnicity in the room, there is a definite change within myself where I will act different because I feel like, well, straight white people are just shit to society, and so I feel the need to be almost over respectful just to be like, hey, I'm not one of them, like, or like, I'm not an asshole, and I feel like in a certain way that's racist because I'm treating someone differently. But, like, so this is the example I give. the way I have like super close friendship is I pick the one thing about that person that is their like thing and just shit on them constantly about it. So like Tyler's a ginger, Eddie's diabetic, you know, like that kind of thing. So it's just like, oh, you ginger piece of shit, something like that. And we laugh. Or mine's adoption, you know. And it's really hard with some of my friends of color to not make that their thing, you know, because it's such a social thing that it's such a problem. And I've only had that with like one close friend. I did a musical with him. He was of color. He made lots of color jokes himself. And as soon as I dropped the first color joke to him, everyone was like, nobody laughed.
That's not okay, man.
Yeah, nobody laughed, but he did. So that made it okay for just him. But like, if it's someone I don't know, say like someone of like a power, or if I'm like going into a bank, I try to be like overly respectful. And I know that's almost racist, but I know that they must get so much shit from like just people, and I know people who are genuinely racist, and it's like I just don't get it, and I'm like, you're kind of shitty, like. So I just don't want to ever give that vibe off. So I always am like really careful, and I just like don't even try to be funny, because I could say the joke. We were in a musical, so I was wiping my makeup off. I had a fake beard on, so I just wiped it and rubbed it off. And he goes, dude, your face is like all black now. And I went, well, so are you. And like, he laughed, and he like hugged.
That's not even that bad.
No, but you can't say that kind of thing. Like, as a white person, that I can't just say that. And I would never say that to just anybody I didn't know. We were just close friends, and that was my shot. It could have ended horribly, and I could deserve to get beat for that. But in that situation, he was cool with it. We were close, you know, like, and he was fine with it. Like, but in general, I don't want to be one of those people who ever gives someone an uncomfortable vibe. You know, like the way people of color feel like if they get pulled over by a cop. I don't ever want to give that type of vibe off to someone. Like, that I'm like, that they have to like feel concerned or feel different. So I try overly hard, which I feel like is racist. And if anybody has advice or like your own thoughts on this in the comments, please tell me, because it's something I am self-conscious about. Even talking about right now, like most things I'm cool with just saying out loud. This is something that can make me sound like either really shitty or just like, you know, I don't know. So, but it's something I'm willing to talk about because it is just honest, you know, like.
So I think
I'm not racist. I don't look at anybody as less, but I just want to make sure I don't come across as someone who looks at people as, which I think makes me slightly racist.
So I think this all comes down to like this social
Stigma.
This social and societal stigma that has been like embedded into white men, I think, is a big problem. Obviously, at one point in American history, you know, there was, you know, white men held power, that sort of bullshit, you know. So I think that still persists today, and I think it's people like you, Adam, or like us, that are trying to break those tendencies. Like, we recognize that, like, look, this is a problem. I shouldn't have to be this way. I should just be, you know, I should be fine with everybody in the room. It doesn't matter who they are or where they come from or where their family comes from. It doesn't matter. You should just be able to be like, yeah, hey, how you doing? Everything's cool. You know, you should be able to crack jokes with somebody. It doesn't matter who they are, and it'd be cool. You know, obviously there's different jokes. Like, there's different levels of appropriate jokes for a group.
Right.
Whether or not you're, you know, of the same ethnicity or not. You know, I probably shouldn't make, you know, sexual orientation jokes to somebody.
Right. Yeah.
No matter who you are, those are probably not okay. In most situations, you know, unless you and the other person have had conversations about that before. That's a whole other can of worms. But I think that's this weird societal thing that I hope a lot of people are just trying to push out of the next generation. Like, it really should not be a thing that I think people in the, you know, millennial and Gen Z age group are gonna. I keep smacking my mic. I'm sorry.
You're it's so good.
I really hope that it's like something that our generation
Is not a problem for our children.
excuse me, that we want to push out and throw away from the next generation and let them just live life and not have this other unnecessarily difficult thing to have to deal with.
Yeah, because just, you know, you got me thinking on culture, and culturally, straight white men specifically are like really shitty and just about power all the time. And so like I know most people don't probably think that, and most people probably don't have that weird thing where they're like, oh, I want to make sure I come off respectfully. But like in days where I'm annoyed, where I could be like shitty to a customer who is being like the card throwing thing, I would never throw my card back at a person of color, even if they threw it at me. Like, just because I would not want to be that guy, because like there's so much that we could do that's like, well, that was racist.
But hey, hold on, I want to stop you there real quick.
And I think I have the same point as Eddie here. Go ahead.
Doing that in its own way is racist. Look, I live by a simple philosophy. I don't care if you're fucking purple. If you're an asshole, you're an asshole.
Right. I agree. I think that was
True.
the same thing I was trying to say.
So wait, you're saying it's racist of me to not?
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's also, you know, someone could
Okay.
take it as being racist if you did do it. It's
Right,
one of the,
yeah.
it's that catch-22 thing that almost every situation has when you're talking
Yeah.
about this certain topic, you know.
That's
Like,
why I could never be a cop.
You're damned
Like, I
if you
could
do,
never
you're
do
damned
that.
if you don't. You know what I mean?
Exactly. So like I know a lot of you guys might not be into this topic or anything, but like it really is something that our generation needs to figure out, because like I genuinely feel bad. Like I can't relate at all. I can say I've been the odd one out, but I can't say I've been the colored person in the room ever, because we haven't. But like just thinking about that type of thing and how much I see it, I can't imagine being that thing. Because like I can think of something that makes me the odd one out, like adoption, and like anytime it's talked about or something, you feel like weird. Or anytime somebody's like, yeah, when I was popped out of my mom's womb, and you're just like, like, yeah, I guess, or like my mom carried me for, you know, it's just like that weird thing. But something that is like, you can't just look at me and be like, oh, adopted. You can look at a person of color and be like, oh, color. And it's not a good thing. Like adoption can be looked at either way. I feel like color is still majority looked at as a bad thing by a lot of places.
When it definitely should not be.
It shouldn't be at all, and that's so shitty that the world, and that we even have to have this conversation. But
I guess where I'm having trouble relating to you, Adam, is I never really looked at it that way. Like we had a colored friend named Vantel. Vantel was awesome.
He is, yeah.
He was just another guy to me. I didn't give a shit that he was black. I really didn't give a shit. Vantel was cool. He wasn't an asshole, so I didn't treat him like he was an asshole.
Right. And I never really had colored friends in school. Now that I've gotten out of school and done like musicals and stuff and played video games online, I have a lot more friends who are colored. And you know, like I feel more comfortable that way because I know they're okay with me and they know me.
Yeah.
It's more just the like, if I ran into somebody on the street, I would make sure I was, and I know that's racist. Like, okay, so give me your honest opinions. Do you think if I had this conversation with a colored person, they would be pissed at me?
No.
Okay.
I think they'd be a little pissed off that you're treating them differently because that means if I think about it, like if I'm in their shoes, which is it's gonna be hard and a lot of people may shit on me for it, but treat people like people, no matter size, color, skin, weight. Just treat people like people.
Yeah, it's just,
at the end of the day, we all bleed the same. We all die the same.
Hell yeah. We all fight for even America the same. Like it's legitimately like it's almost like I feel like I have to apologize for
and there is a word for that, and it's called white guilt.
Yeah, and I have so much of it.
And you
I
shouldn't
don't have anything to like hurt.
The thing is
but I hate me for that reason.
The past is the past. No matter how much we do in the future.
Wait. I don't hate me for the reason that I've never done anything bad to a colored person. I hate me for the reason that, like, that has been what our straight white male has been about in the past. And I hate that I'm a part of that in a way because I'm straight, white, and a male. You know, like, I can't be like, oh, our culture suffered. I could be like, oh, our culture really made a lot of people's lives hell. Like, it's just, I'm sorry.
Well, I think what's happening with you, Adam, is you're oversensitizing the entire situation. The thing is this is something that I've said before, I think. It is what it is. Shit that happened in the past. We had no control over it.
We have control of the future.
Right.
We have control of the future, which means what actions we take today affects tomorrow. What actions we take today don't affect yesterday.
Yeah. So I'm honestly not helping. I'm making it worse, really.
I mean, there are obviously other things that could make it a lot worse.
Right,
but...
yeah. I'm not just going like, oh, he's a criminal because he's color. I'm going, oh, I'm really sorry that we're such pieces of shit.
That's what it boils down to. People are just assholes, 100%. I mean, you sent me that Markiplier video the other day that just...
Yep. There's a video of Markiplier saying that people are just assholes if they're gonna be assholes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he said it's actually just amazing how much that is the diagnosis for people. Just, oh, you're just an asshole. So fuck you, and I'll carry on with my day. And it's true, but like I just feel the need to be sorry, and I know that itself is not helping, and I'm sorry to anyone out there who might listen and be like, well, that guy's just a piece of shit. Like, that is why I feel self-conscious about it, because I know that is shitty. Like, you know, like, I've gotten some of the most helpful, some of the most heart-touching, you know, like, help or advice from a person of color, very specifically that I know, who has said things to me that has made me cry. And, like, is one of what I like to think of as one of the best people that I'll probably ever meet. But... like, I don't feel weird around them. It's just, like, strangers I don't know. I feel a need to be like, I'm not one of those Nazi-type people, you know? Like, and I don't feel that with white people, because it's like, if I make a white joke, it's hilarious, because I'm white. If I'm like, we're pieces of shit, you're like, ha ha ha, white people are pieces of shit.
I think my advice for you, Adam, moving into the future, is just treat everybody normal. If they're gonna be an asshole to you, treat them like they're treating you. You know, it's that old saying of you treat people how you want to be treated, and you know, if they treat you like a piece of shit, then you can treat them back like a piece of shit. And you know, that's, you know, they're projecting that onto you, so you know, if it bounces back to them, then it's okay. You know, what the hell was the problem? You know,
it's honestly shitty that I look like at it that way. That like
that you have to be sorry.
I'll treat you like shit because you're an asshole. But,
well,
like,
but that's the way it is.
Okay.
You know? But that's the way it is. You know, like like I don't know, if I met someone on the street and they, you know, fucking flicked a cigarette at me, I'd probably punch him in the face.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you get what you fucking get. There's, you know, it's that whole good karma, bad karma thing. You know, you fucking do something bad's gonna happen to you.
Right.
You know, there's, you know, just treat everybody like a person. Treat them like, you know, like they're great until they aren't. You know, be as nice as you can, and don't think of them as a person of color or a person of a different ethnicity or whatever at all. Just treat them like, oh, hey, this is Joe. Hi, Joe. How you doing?
I know. That is bad of me. Be colorblind is what you're saying.
Right. Just as much as you can. Like,
right.
Obviously, everyone, and I mean everyone, has some sort of, you know, perception to that. Like, it doesn't matter who you are. Like, people in Europe probably hate Americans. Doesn't matter if you're awesome, if you're a great person or not. You know, it doesn't even have a like racial borders.
The thing is,
it's, you know, borders too.
Even in the people we know, even say your parents. When you're young, like when you're now, you think back, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? The bad shit that happened. So that's going to be the same social stigma for anything, anybody, any color, any ethnicity. People will always judge people on what the bad people did.
That's why I don't want to be. See, I want to make sure I say all the right things too, so people aren't just leaving this being like, "Oh, okay, I get it. He's racist," and they named the episode. This is why we kicked Adam off the podcast for a reason. Just like, yeah, I don't know. Like, I get that I'm wrong and I'm not helping it, and I want to make it clear. It's not because I'm scared of people of color, because I've heard people. I dated a girl whose dad, I didn't know this until one night in the car, he just went off about it. How he was like, no, I just found out he was genuinely racist to like a hate degree, to where he was like, their crime rates they're ruining the world. And I was like, are you kidding? I started texting her from the car, even though she was next to me. I was like, is this real? Like, I didn't believe it, because that was the first time I had ever actually witnessed from someone I knew or thought I knew racism. And I was like, is this like a joke? Like, and she was like, no, he's serious. I was like, if you shit on anybody for like years and kill everyone and give them shitty homes and make them have to grow up in shitty situations, of course there's going to be a lot of crime. Like, they're just trying to survive in a world that is constantly stepping on them. Like, it has nothing to do with color. It's just the situation. Like, you just, I mean, oh my God. I couldn't believe that. But it's not that I fear them out of their crime rate or whatever. It's just that I fear being the straight white male, like, and giving that vibe off. Because if, and I know this is stupid, but like, if I was like a minority, or, you know, if for somehow I was alive during the like World War, you know, like when they were like killing all the Jews and stuff, and some guy who was German, yeah, right, I know, I was just saying, but World War II, when they were killing all the Jews, and some German came up to me and was just like, hey, just, you know, like, I want you to know, like, you're good. Like, that would make me feel a lot better. And not that I'm trying to look at myself as a Nazi and everyone of color as a Jew, but like, it's just, I don't ever, like, you guys get what I'm saying. It's just,
no, I'm missing your reference here.
I don't, like, because if I was a Jew in that time, I would feel uncomfortable around anybody who was German ever. Like, for a while.
I think that's a different whole...
Yeah, but it's just the whole, even nowadays, racism is such a big thing, and people are treated differently because of it. And, like, it's not that I'm not acting different toward them, it's just not in the shit way. I don't ever want them to feel like they have to be, like, worried that they are looked at differently by me. But then I can't say that, because technically, in a way, I'm contradicting myself here.
No,
you're overthinking.
Yeah,
that's exactly what's happening.
This whole thing is fraught with the white guilt and the overanalyzing every situation. Okay, just
situations are more black and white than what you're making them out.
Yeah,
to
you're making it out to be this wishy-washy, like, well, if I don't say it this way, if I act this way, maybe just act like a person and treat the other people like a person.
And the other thing is literally you could say hi to somebody and they'd be offended by it.
Yeah,
it's just the nature of the beast nowadays.
It doesn't matter what you do. Someone somewhere, no matter what or how well intended your actions are, someone will either be offended, be hurt by it, whatever. It doesn't matter. So be the best person you can be. Don't
and block out the haters.
Right.
I just feel bad for how the world is, really.
And well, it's nothing we can control tomorrow. That's all we can do.
Exactly.
Live today for tomorrow.
I feel bad that anything we do could be considered racist, even if it's just something I do. Like, pick out the one thing about the person and just shit on them because that's my former friendship. Not like early. I'm not saying like I meet someone, I'm like, your face is stupid. Like, I'm saying like, you know, when we're close friends and I
have known them for years,
forever, in front of them, so they're like, oh, this is this kind of person, and then eventually we get into it, but not like, I'm not like, hey, nice to meet you, Bob, you have a stupid nose, but
I mean, some people just do have a stupid nose, so
yeah, my ex, no, I'm just kidding. I actually liked her nose. Anyway, but that's besides the point. It's just, yeah, I just feel bad, and like, if you look at this and you think I'm a piece of shit from this, it's understandable, and I'm working on changing it. Obviously, we're talking through it here. I'm talking to my 2 straight white male friends to figure out what I should do. No, but honestly, I should message one of my colored friends and I should send them this and be like, hey, like, what are your thoughts on this? And they could be like, my thoughts are, you're not my friend anymore, you stupid white bitch. And I could be like, okay, understandable.
That's a very possible reaction,
Yeah, and I wouldn't be mad because, like, I get it.
one.
Right. That's
Right,
a possible,
no, but-
not probable. They would probably give you back some feedback from their point of view that you probably didn't think of, that none of us probably thought of. And
None of
that's-
us would even have the thought process. to
Yeah,
think
we
of.
wouldn't be able
Exactly,
to have it.
because we don't have maybe the same experiences as somebody else.
Yeah,
The thing is, you'll
song-
never have the same experiences. as
No,
somebody else.
never.
Right.
Even between me and my brother, I mean, there's shit we've done together, but his experience is completely different than mine.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and that
he's
goes
an
with
asshole.
everything.
I mean, yeah,
I'm kidding.
but I'm also an asshole.
No, if this podcast ever makes anyone look like an asshole, it's me for sure. I'm the one over here talking about, well, I treat black people differently because I'm sorry. So, like, yeah, just seriously, even if you usually don't comment on videos, just comment to make me feel like maybe I'm not a shit person, or comment to be like, no, really fix yourself, because that's shitty. Because I'm still young. I am 20 years old. There's lots of life left to live, hopefully. I could die
Yeah,
tonight,
the
and it could be
fucking-
because of what I say. Like,
Murder hornets get over here. We may not have
Oh,
to worry about
God.
that. That's a
don't.
different topic. I'm not talking about that.
Yeah, that's rough and scary. But, yeah, like,
2020's a bitch.
I don't know. I'm gonna, like, go cry to mom after this.
Okay.
Mom, I think I'm racist.
All right. Well, let's reel it back in. Along with culture comes mythology, and I am a huge mythology nerd. And I want to know your guys' favorite mythology and a reason why. And if you need, like I said, I did my research, so if you need me to go first, I can.
So, I think the Norse gods are pretty cool. And I think a lot of the old, like, styles of mythology are interesting, especially, like, with what Adam said earlier, like the Greek gods, and then obviously the Roman gods are just the Greek gods renamed and
Yeah.
changed a little bit, but not very much. The humanity that comes with a lot of those is really interesting to me, that there was so much like religion and stuff based around very humanized figures.
Traits and figures.
Right.
Okay.
So like Zeus had children with many wives and many human wives.
Yes.
As a Greek reference there, or Loki from Norse. Obviously, I know some of this from Marvel stuff, but I've also watched a lot of documentaries on Norse mythology. Like, he was a trickster god, and like not really any like current mythologies or religious practices have that same sort of humanizing. Maybe Hinduism.
Okay.
Because they believe in many gods, and I believe Buddhism does as well.
I couldn't tell you honestly.
I think it's Hinduism has all the different gods. Like
Yeah, I think
Shah
you're right. Yeah.
and all those. I don't know. It's one of those two. It's a an East Asian practice. But I think that the humanity that comes with a lot of those gods is interesting because you're able to see the flaws, even though they are gods or divine beings. It comes with a sense of, well, they messed up. I mean, I probably am gonna mess up too, and that's okay. I need to learn from my experiences and make
Okay.
I think that's pretty interesting that people so long ago, Adam, people so long ago had that thought to, like, whether they're based in reality or not. I'm not going to make any sort of assumptions on any of that right now. But, you know, that process to, like, help people become better is very interesting to me.
Okay. What about you, Adam?
Jinx, you owe me a soda.
Oh, I'll give you something else.
What are you thinking, man?
I mean,
gears,
I kind of agree. Like, wait, what?
I said shift gears. I think shift gears. I think you're still stuck in the last topic a little bit.
No, I'm good. Just trying to think of how much of a throwback this would be on the internet. Or anyway, yeah, I agree with you. Like the whole Greek mythology thing probably is because that's where I paid attention and was most interested in school. Is all same stuff you were talking on and touching on. Is like all the different gods and the different, like, it's just awesome. Like the way they thought of things, or like the way they explained things that would happen in the world that are just nature before like science was really like figured out. They're like, oh, that must be a god, you know, like lightning or thunder, or, you know, like it's like, oh, like that's really cool. And I still kind of wish we thought of things like that because it makes life more fun instead of, no, the electrons rise into the environment, which actually, to a lot of people, that probably makes life more fun, and I'm not making fun of science because I love science too, but...
Hey,
what's up? No, but, like, you get what I mean. More fun as in more imaginative, more, like, almost childlike. Even though they were really smart back then in different ways, they just didn't have the ways of figuring out what actually was happening, so they would just describe it with gods and stuff like that. I think that's some of the coolest stuff ever. Like even nowadays, like stuff that touches on like God of War. I know that's not like direct like following it, but you know it has the same like feel to it, or same like similar concept, and it's just like cool.
Okay. Now for me, I love Norse mythology, for one main reason. And that is, they never claim like all the other mythologies that they're immortal. They actually have a fruit that they have to cultivate and eat to keep their immortality, but they can be killed and they do bleed. I think that's probably one of my favorites. And in Norse mythology, the actual end for them is called Ragnarok. Mm-hmm. And I think that's probably what makes it stand a cut above the rest. A cut above the rest of them. So.
Sorry.
But I'm a huge mythology fan. I like them all, but I think Norse is probably my favorite. But moving, what
of them
Did you
all?
say? Oh,
Of them all,
wow.
yeah.
I was like, wait, is Gamal another one I haven't heard of? What's Gamal the god of? I'm just stupid.
I agree with you, Eddie. I like all the, like, I like learning about all the different like religions and you know, different cultures and different like mythologies behind all of the different cultures throughout history, you know, whether it be all the way back to like ancient Sumeria to, you know, a few hundred years ago, whatever different cultures thought of back then or now or whatever. I like learning about all of it, and I'm not really religious in any sense.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a scientist, kind of above everything else, so I believe in the power of science, I guess.
Okay.
It's a weird way to describe that, but I think it's interesting to learn about all these different things, you know, and learn other people's points of view and their thoughts behind all that sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I along with what you said before, the end thing, I was actually watching a couple things about I think it's the conspiracy show. What the hell was it? Conspiracies, it might actually be called, or something like that. It was just talking about and it is funny to look back on because they even made a movie about it, about the 2012 end of the world catastrophe stuff.
Yeah.
And I just thought that it was funny to rewatch stuff about that now when we're in this, you know, crisis time. I just thought it was kind of funny to look back and see what people thought of back then.
Well, the other thing, I saw something on Instagram that actually kind of scared the shit out of me a little bit. But the Mayan calendar went off the Mesopotamia calendar, and it may be 2020 in America, but in Mesopotamia, it is 2012.
Right.
So that kind of scares the shit out of me.
Well, I don't know. And it was so. What I remember, and don't quote me on any of this because I don't know for sure. I'm not an expert in any of that. What we thought was going to be 2012 was actually like it was supposed to be like 2002 or something like that, and then it was like 2005 or something, and then it got shifted to 2012. Like as we learn more and more, it got shifted. So I think it's just always going to be like that. One of those things. It's like.
And the other thing is, I mean, there could be more to those writings they found, or they could have just disappeared at that time.
Right. Who knows? And
Yeah,
it's
I mean,
all
the
speculation.
And the calendar, it just ends. It doesn't say the world's going to end. Just the calendar ends.
Right.
Well,
So
it stops.
I mean, even now, we're not thinking like thousands of years ahead of time.
No.
They back then.
I mean, in some aspects we are with like the global and stuff like that, but
yeah.
but not in the grand scheme like they were
not
back then.
religiously and stuff like that. Like we're thinking 50,000 years in the future when it comes to like nuclear waste from nuclear reactors.
Right.
Those are 50 to 100,000 years in the future is how long the half-life of uranium and plutonium are. So we have to think that long into the future. But other
back
than
then, when they were like inventing calendars, they didn't have the like history to look back on, and they didn't have the forethought to be like, in 50,000 years, we're gonna freak some people out if this just ends.
Or maybe they did, and it's a big joke.
yeah, they're like,
They're just like, we're gonna fuck with these guys.
Just rolling around in their graves howling.
like, our ancestors are going to think this is hilarious.
You and the
Wait, what if
voices tonight.
I know.
Stop it.
I need to just.
That's it's okay.
So, you touched on this a little bit earlier, Jeremy, but I want to know: is there any certain place in the world that you would like to go see after this whole catastrophe is over?
Yeah, there's probably two places in particular. I'd like to go to Berlin.
Okay.
And obviously like surrounding cities and stuff. Like Munich's very nice as well. Germany in general, because I just think it'd be a really interesting place to go see, like especially on the countryside and stuff of Germany. A lot of the old kinds of I don't know, castles and towns and stuff, like old small villages and stuff like that. Be very interesting to go see. I had the chance in high school to go to Germany at one point with the German club, but it was several $1,000s for just me to go, upwards of $4,000 or $5,000, and I just couldn't even think to press upon my family that amount of money.
Well, you also have 4 siblings. So
Right, exactly.
That's a lot of mouths to feed, let alone anything.
It was just so much, and I avoided it because of that mostly. I think it would have been a great experience had I been able to do it there, or I think somewhere in Asia would be very interesting as well, because it is such a polar opposite to our way of life here in America.
Oh, absolutely. So, okay, I get that. What about you, Adam? Anywhere you want to go?
Home to West Virginia. No,
Mountain
honestly, yeah.
Like Western Virginia or West Virginia?
No, I was born in West Virginia, but honestly, Greece. I think that place looks dope in pictures, even. So, like, seeing that in real life, I'd probably cry, just because I'm an emotional person, and like things like that hit me. Like live music hits me, and like that hits me. Like, I'm not saying I'm gonna go to a Kenny Chesney concert and ball my eyes out, but like when I went like the regional chorus and just to hear that much, like, people who had that much control of their voice all in one place, I bawled my eyes out. I was like, this is fucking beautiful. Like, oh my god, you know? So, stuff like that, like, if I went and saw that kind of stuff, I'd be like, holy lord, like, just I feel like it'd be powerful.
Okay. For me personally, there's one I want to go to for a very specific reason, and there's another one I want to go to just because I like the thought of it. I want to go to Scotland, just because I am Scottish and Scottish-Irish. Obviously you can tell by the red hair and red beard you see right here.
That's racist.
Just kidding. But the old castles, the old architecture is a big thing for me. You're right, homie.
There's dogs outside barking like right below my window downstairs.
Oh, I can't hear a single thing.
Well,
So.
I can kind of hear it.
Here, yeah, well, it's not coming through the mic, so you're good there. Okay. And then the place I want to go for a very specific reason is Crete. And the reason I want to go to Crete is because Crete is where in Greece, they took the most beautiful women to be the consorts of emperors. So every woman on Crete is beautiful. And I want to go there for that specific reason.
Good lord.
Full transparency.
If you find an ugly woman there, let me know.
Oh, I won't.
Although I don't see people really as... That's not true.
My boss, he was in the Navy for 20 years, and he traveled a lot, obviously. And he went to Crete, and he said he felt like he was gonna break his neck with how much he was turning looking at girls and stuff like that. And I'm like, I'm sold. I want to go.
Is your boss married?
He wasn't at the time.
Oh, good.
He was
He better not have.
23, I think, when he went. So,
I know your boss. Okay.
but yeah, that's why I want to go to Crete. Plus, I hear they have really good food there, really good olive oil there. Which
Well,
I'm
yeah.
kind of excited about.
They got lots of
Mediterranean sun. That just helps on every fun.
Oh my
front.
god.
But I know if I do go there, I'm gonna have to bring a lot of sunscreen because my ginger ass will burn like a son of a bitch.
Speaking of burns, I don't know if anyone's caught this in the episode, but I don't know if it'll come through on camera there at all. Probably not. I have a very, very. If I come back here somewhere.
No, it's not happening.
It's not coming. It's not coming
Yeah.
through. I have a very distinct tan line.
Oh,
Right.
hot.
I went kayaking a couple days ago, and it is red here, pale here. Oh, it's kind of coming through right there.
Yeah, I can see it now.
Just a little bit. I don't know how well it's coming through on the actual shot there, but it's pretty cut and dry where I got burned and where I didn't. That's also on
That's
my
okay.
nose.
Tyler
nose
went
and my
outside for
face are
30
all burnt.
minutes the other day, and he looks like my microphone.
Yeah, I mowed the grass last Monday, and I was out there, and I was halfway through it, and I'm like, shit, I can feel it. I can feel it coming.
Why does that happen to specifically gingers a lot?
Oh well,
Your skin's
for some
much
reason,
paler, and you
our
have
skin
quite
is
as
much
pigment.
yeah, exactly, and that's all the reason why.
Yeah.
And we don't tan. I mean, we tan a little bit, but not
Yeah.
nearly as much.
That's true.
Like-
never really seen tan ginger.
Like my little brother, he's we're part Indian, but my little brother got most of the Indian blood.
Yes, he did.
So like when we were younger, it was bad. Like I would come in looking like a lobster. He would be a little bit red, and then he was just brown. It just tanned instantly. Meanwhile, for the next 2 weeks, I'm peeling skin off in chunks because my skin was like, you fucked up.
I feel
It's
that
just
one.
go
bullshit.
outside.
It's just stay inside. The sun won't hurt you there.
Actually, you could die from too much inside.
That's all right. Open a window. Well, it's the way they put them on there. So
Take a nap in front of a window. Let the
yeah,
sun hit you.
just be a
Tyler will
cat.
actually wake up, like, actually shriveled up and dead.
Yeah, I've
Burns
actually
inside.
the day before that I had my you guys know how my couch is set up. I had my arm up right in front of the window, and I pulled it down and looked at it. I was like, you son of a bitch. You've got to be fucking kidding me. I burned from the window, so.
That's good.
But, I think this is the last one we're going to talk about before Fat Boy, but what is your guys' favorite time period? And if there's any certain reason why?
So, time period to like know things about, or time period that we would potentially want to be like living in?
You know what? Either or. It doesn't really matter.
I think it'd be really interesting to live in the like late 19th century.
Okay. Any reason why?
So when I was in college, I studied a lot of physics, obviously because that was my major, and lots and lots and lots of the discoveries that were made in general about science as a whole were made in the early to mid to late 19th century.
Okay.
Who was it? Isaac Newton was late 18th, early 19th. Was his time frame, kind of, I think.
Okay.
1850s, somewhere in there? Yeah. Something like that. I don't remember exactly. But I think it'd be really interesting to go live and, see the experiments as they were performed back in the day and what inferences they made from whatever they saw. I just think it'd be really interesting because obviously now, like, I know what they found out, like what they came up with, like
Okay.
Newton's derivations of, why gravity works and, measurements of that. Like, obviously I know that gravity has a force of acceleration of 9.8 meters per second squared. Like, I know that. But I want to know how he figured that out. I want to watch him do experiments, or any of the other dozens and dozens of scientists that did experiments like that.
You want to go back to see how they got to the steps they got, how they got to the results they did,
right? And
experience it firsthand almost.
Yeah, I think it'd be really interesting.
And you could be like the one person on their team. You could be like, he's right.
It's like, oh no, do this a little different.
Yeah.
Give me a nudge in the right direction.
Yeah.
It's like, what if you change that 1 to a 2? I don't know.
Weird. E equals MC squared seems right, but this one, I don't know.
Anyways,
that's not 19th century at all, so I'm just.
It's all good.
It's 20th, but you're good, man.
What about you, Adam?
First thing that came to my this just describes how my brain works. And he goes, "What time period would you like to live in?" I go, either Vikings or horsemen riding. So like either like also. If you really think about it, it would probably be horrible to be alive during like the Renaissance or the Viking, which I don't know. There might be overlap there. Is there? No. Like completely different. Okay.
Like 800s,
like a few hundred years
versus 1400s.
Okay. So like Renaissance, like especially if you are, I might be looking too deep into it. If you're aware of today, like if we were to actually just go back, but with all our memory, most time period would just suck because we're so used to how.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, just the technology difference, the availability of everything. But
like, there would be cool bits of it, of course, like Jeremy's saying, but a lot of it would be like, holy shit. Like, we'd all have like some really bad diseases, I'm sure. But just because they didn't have stuff to cure stuff.
Oh, absolutely. But anyways.
Renaissance or Viking would be just lost because if we're like back in the Viking day, I feel like no fat people existed at all. Or if you were fat, you were like, one of those husky, like I can lift 800 pounds fat, or royalty. You're just like a beast. And if people pissed you off, you just kill them. Like if someone threw their card at me during the Viking era, or I guess whatever, like a shilling, I would just cut their head off. And I would probably be more manly and have more of a beard. Eat myself less. No, but wouldn't that be sick? Dude, Vikings are great, man. And
they are.
There's a Valhalla game coming out for Assassin's Creed. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I'm excited.
So excited.
Speaking of Viking shows, I just watched The Last Kingdom.
Oh.
Which is like 700s based England. Saxons versus Danish. Vikings.
It's a great series.
It's a really good show.
Oh, you've seen it too?
Yeah, I
Really
watched
good
it a
show.
long time ago.
Season 4 just came out like last week.
Oh, I did not know that.
watch
I'll
it.
have to go watch that for sure.
Highly recommended.
Same, highly recommended.
I'll have to watch it.
For me, it's kind of the same along your lines, the Vikings era, or even the early Iron Age. I wouldn't mind going back to.
Yeah, you would love that.
I have always loved blacksmithing. I've always loved making things with my hands. I feel like that was kind of the heyday for it. That I'm big, so I could be used as a laborer or as a warrior, which I feel like I'd be pretty good at. So, but that's kind of where I would like to land at. It'd be pretty nice. But like Adam said, if we went back with like knowing all the shit we know now, it would completely suck because like I wouldn't have a toilet that had running water. I'd have to bucket my own shit out.
Yeah.
So-
I'd be like, hey guys, we're gonna go make a YouTube video. Oh wait.
YouTube isn't invented for another
800,
800 years.
We'd be like, hey, I met this really hot Viking chick. Any of you guys got condoms? And they're like, okay, never mind.
All right, boys, we're gonna round the episode out with a local favorite. So, Jeremy, you may want to blur this in post, but or any other local Chinese buffet.
Ooh, I don't know the menu there well enough.
You good, Jeremy?
Yeah. I was just trying to make a note of when that happened.
105-ish.
It's different on my recording.
Oh yeah, that's right. What?
Yeah, and if you want to take that whole part out where I sound like a shit person, yeah, you could do that too.
But Jeremy,
Yeah.
it can be a Chinese buffet or the one I named specifically.
Sushi, I always get spicy crab roll.
Yeah.
Or I love lo mein noodles. They're like fried noodles with pepper and onion and stuff.
Okay.
So good. Coconut shrimp's really good. I mean, I'll eat everything there.
Okay.
That
mean,
really is what it's meant to be, like buffet-ish.
no.
So-
I'll tell you what. The thing I get every single time I go there, whether I'm feeling in the mood for sushi or noodles or not, I always get the dumpling. The little pot sticker dumpling things.
Oh yeah, the pork dumplings.
Yes,
Absolutely.
pork dumplings. Always get those with the soy sauce or whatever that sauce is they come with. I don't think it's.
I think they
soy.
come with sweet and sour.
No, it's like a brothy kind of thing.
Oh yeah.
It's
Okay,
like
I know what you're talking
soy plus pork stock or something like that. They call it dumpling sauce. Who knows?
Yeah.
But I always get those. Those are like a for sure every single time. Get that.
Okay. What about you, Adam?
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, their flavor of chicken. Because seriously, the first 2 times I went there, this is how pathetic this was at one point. For a buffet, I just ate the chicken, and I was like, this flavor of chicken is good. Noted. But I see. Okay, when I go there, there's not really a specific thing. I almost go there as my experimental place, and I will just.
Okay.
So that is like the place where I really just expand my food knowledge as a person, because I'm like, I've never had this, or I just won't even look at the name things. I'll just look at the food, and I'll be like, that kind of looks like it could be interesting. Grab until it comes to dessert, and then it's just like, this looks chocolate, this looks chocolate. Yeah, like that's kind of a shitty answer, but really, like if you go there, it is a good place to just kind of test things out, because you pay for like the buffet of it, and then that's kind of it. You could just go buffet. You know, you're not having to be like, I'll take this, and then if you don't like it, you're screwed, because you could just go get something else if it's not, like grab portions and then you're basically having a Costco meal, like how you walk around and get samples, but like you can actually get a meal and it's allowed.
Okay. Now for me, I'm gonna get very specific because I have what I call them rounds. Round one is very easy for me. Round one is a rice noodle. They have a rice noodle that has egg and onion in it that are fried up a little bit. Big helping of that. The Parmesan green beans, bacon wrapped crab meat.
Yeah, that's good.
And then typically some form of shrimp, whether it be coconut or
They've
just
got garlic and butter.
Yeah.
And, like 20 different kinds.
Yeah. So I'll grab that, and then the one I specifically named has a black clam that they put out for dinner, and I will get one of those soup cups. I'll fill that thing to the fucking brim, and I'll just pound those down. So, and then round two is always sushi round for me. So I'll typically grab spicy crab rolls. They have a spicy California which isn't too bad. And then they have just the regular shrimp rolls, stuff like that. So that's round two. Always with ginger, because ginger is a good palate cleanser. And a little bit of spicy mayo. And then round three is either dessert, or if I'm still hungry, I'll go back up, and that's where I'll get kind of more of the American foods, like the French fries and maybe some chicken nuggets or something like that. And one thing I forgot for round one was vegetable egg rolls. Love vegetable egg rolls. Could
Yeah, I'm
absolutely
actually
destroy
okay
them.
with that. Like, I'm not a huge fan of just eating vegetables in general, but like mixed right and in egg roll form, I'm like, yeah, I could eat this.
Oh yeah.
Great.
Deep fried always makes it better.
Oh well, yeah. I mean,
And then in any of the rounds, I'll normally throw half of a boiled egg.
do you have
A hard-boiled egg.
have a dessert round?
That's typically round 3 or round 4. And for those rounds, I typically grab some cookies, maybe a slice of like meringue pie, and some ice cream.
I'm not even gonna lie. That is like a great.
Low quants too. The little white.
Oh yeah, I know
stuff and
exactly
fruit.
what you're talking about. Yes,
I could
Oh my God.
literally eat an entire fucking tub of those.
Yeah,
Just-
those are good.
Yeah. So,
See.
but that's mine. So.
That really is a great way to describe what a buffet is. Rounds. All right, round one. Because never once have I gone to a buffet, gotten stuff, and then been done. Like one round through. You're right.
I know so
there
many
are
people
several
are
rounds.
like that. In dinner time, when it's like, I don't know, 50% more expensive than lunchtime.
Yeah.
It's like, what are you doing? Go get more. I don't.
Yeah.
You're gonna be hungry in an hour. Go eat more.
Although, how much do these people weigh that you know?
Oh, I bet people like my size that are like that. Like my
Oh,
brother.
No,
Like my
disgusting.
brother.
No.
Like
Oh.
I went with him one time, and he like got like maybe a plate and a half's worth of food, and then we went to like Walmart or something, and then left Walmart, and he's like, "Hey, you guys want to stop and get food?" I was like, "No, we just ate."
We just ate like an hour ago, you shithead.
Like, what? You didn't eat enough then when you spent $20 on dinner? Like,
What is wrong with you? It was a buffet.
seriously, of all the places to go and then not be full and almost dead after you're leaving, like, especially a Chinese buffet.
Like, if you don't leave a buffet almost not being able to walk, then you've done it wrong. 100%.
Like you
If
need
it
to
doesn't hurt
unbutton
to
your
stand
pants
up.
and do your buckle up, your belt for your buckle up like a notch wider. Like, then you're not doing it right. Like,
See, I think ahead. I don't even wear a belt to a buffet. I know better.
Only wear a belt when I go to like weddings or funerals.
no, I wear a belt every day.
I wear mine for work, but other than that,
I'm fat. Belts hurt.
Same.
No, but you're a dad. Dads wear belts, and it's cool. Oh my lord. Yeah, you missed it, Eddie. When you left, Jeremy's whole mic arm fell.
oh, did it?
Yeah,
the
he was
whole-
just holding it.
Like, I went to pick it up to like maneuver it because it was way down low, and I picked
Yeah.
it up, and the whole thing just came off.
It's very nice.
All right. Well, I think that's about the end of the episode. So if
Yeah,
you did
let's
stick
wrap it up
around
there.
through everything that we talked through tonight, which was quite a lot to unpack, give us some feedback. Give us comments down below. Let us know what you think, how we did. Like, obviously, if you're, of whatever. If you've got different ways of viewing things, we want to know. And
Yeah.
if you can like give us that feedback and help us out, that'd be great. And we'd really
Specifically
appreciate
me. If you want to DM me and like genuinely like converse with me about this, please do, because like I'm open to talking about it, and I want to make sure the rest of my life has continued to be lived in a better way, and that doesn't just apply to this; it applies to everything.
Yeah. So I think that's about it. I think that's all we got to say. So thank you very much. Hope you guys have a good night, day, morning, evening, whatever.
Leap year.
Yeah, it might be leap year in 4 years. 2024 maybe? I don't know. All right. Well, have a good one, everybody. Stay safe. Stay healthy. Bye.
Peace.